Good evening everyone, it's Haruka, and I'm so glad you could join me tonight. Now, if you've been a long-time listener, you'll know that usually we delve into realms of curiosity, wonder, and perhaps a touch of whimsy. But tonight I must ask for your indulgence as we venture into a rather more serious, perhaps even somber contemplation. The catalyst for this shift, this deeper introspection, arrived on the 11th of August with news that resonated profoundly within me. It reported that Donald Trump, the President of the United States, declared an unprecedented move, placing the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. under immediate federal control. Citing a deterioration of public order in the capital, he invoked Article 740 of the Home Rule Act, deploying 800 National Guard troops, proclaiming a Liberation Day to reclaim the city. Now, on the face of it, this action seems, well, baseless. The premise itself, frankly, appears flawed, if not entirely fabricated. It strikes me as nothing short of a nonsensical act of sheer audacity. But what truly amplified my shock, what truly unsettled the foundations of my understanding, was the additional rationale reported on the 12th of August: homelessness measures. Trump's rhetoric and actions, in this context, appear to be driven by a desire to beautify the city and restore order, effectively treating those experiencing homelessness as subjects for both visual and policy-driven exclusion. It's an approach that views human beings as mere blemishes on an urban landscape. And what that implies, I think, is truly chilling. Let's, for a moment, shift our gaze closer to home, to Japan, and the often misunderstood reality of roadside dwellers, as we prefer to call them here. In Japan, the path to living on the streets isn't solely paved by poverty, while certainly the abrupt loss of employment, particularly the termination of non-regular contracts or business failures, plays a significant role. An equally potent factor is the profound rupture of family or relational ties. It's a complex tapestry, isn't it? Can you imagine having a physical dwelling, a house, a roof over your head, yet the unbearable weight of fractured relationships compels you to seek solace and survival on the pavement? For some, it isn't a lack of a physical home, but a fundamental severing of human connection that leads them to the streets, or indeed to choose such a life. This element of perceived choice often leads to a prevailing societal view in Japan of laziness or self-responsibility. Consequently, many roadside dwellers here adopt a quiet, almost invisible existence, shying away from public scrutiny, making their plight tragically unquantifiable, and thus a deeply entrenched social issue. Across the Pacific, however, the narrative in America, from what I gather, diverges significantly. Here, the sheer fragility of financial stability means that those in poverty can very readily find themselves unhoused. The housing market is, in essence, a pure play of market forces, meaning that the absence of a home is often directly synonymous with destitution. Furthermore, the crushing burden of healthcare costs, the ever-shrinking landscape of mental health services, and the pervasive opioid crisis, an insidious shadow over so many lives, contribute to a complex web of factors leading to poverty. Consequently, it's not uncommon for those on the streets to be grappling with significant mental health issues or substance dependency. This makes them highly visible in urban centres, unfortunately linking them directly to perceptions of deteriorating public order. The very visibility of drug use and mental illness sadly reinforces an image of danger and nuisance. Don't you think it's a stark contrast to our own subtle struggles? This visibility, This perceived threat means that in America, homelessness is frequently framed as a stark dichotomy between urban order and human rights and welfare. This makes it a far more potent political battleground than in Japan, which perhaps explains why Mr. Trump feels so emboldened to speak as he does. So, why does this particular issue, this rhetoric of excluding those who live on the margins, resonate so deeply within my own being? It is because, for a period, my own grandfather was a roadside dweller. The precise details are not for this air, but let it suffice to say, he was a man who once held a position of considerable standing. After that position was irrevocably stripped from him, he became, regrettably, violent within the home, ultimately leading to his expulsion. I, as a grandchild, bore witness to all of it. His presence in the home, his period of absence on the streets, and his eventual return. His blood, quite literally, flows in my veins. My grandfather was not a distant, separate entity. He was an extension of me, an individual woven into the very fabric of my existence. And because of this profound connection, I am compelled, I am forced to imagine that I too, depending on the choices I make, or perhaps the unforeseen currents of life, could find myself walking a similar path. For me then, a roadside dweller is not merely a figure of indolence, nor simply an object of pity. They are individuals who, within the complex tapestry of their circumstances, have, for whatever reason, made a choice, perhaps a series of choices, that led them to the streets. When one draws a line connecting the roadside dwellers of Japan to the homeless in America, even acknowledging the inherent stretches in such a comparison, the homeless cease to be mere symbols of danger or nuisance. Instead, they reveal themselves as complex human beings. And it is precisely for this reason that I feel an undeniable contempt for any leader, any public figure, who deems the existence of such individuals as unbeautiful. Of course, it is only human to experience feelings of fear or aversion. I too, in the stifling heat of summer, when confronted with the sight of someone sleeping on the pavement, emitting an unavoidable odour, find myself instinctively turning my head away. These are raw, personal emotions, deeply ingrained, but surely the very essence of being a citizen, and most emphatically the absolute imperative of being a leader, is to consciously acknowledge these personal feelings and values, and then, with unwavering conviction, to elevate one's perspective to encompass the entirety of society. Is that not our collective responsibility? It's a question we must all ask ourselves. In this direction, I perceive a deeply troubling future for America, a future where the notion of only supporters are human takes terrifying root, signalling an almost unimaginable scale of exclusion. I have always held Hannah Arendt's monumental work, The Human Condition, in the highest esteem, and borrowing from her profound wisdom, I wish to address Mr. Trump with these words. Those who deny plurality do not only silence others, they destroy their own words. Those who split the world in two will, in time, lose even their chosen half. Perhaps tonight's conversation was a touch too serious, a little too heavy for our usual late-night rendezvous. My apologies if it was. Next time, I promise, we'll aim for something a little more light-hearted, a touch more joyful. It truly pains me that the prevailing circumstances in America, the very air it breathes, make such a casual promise so difficult to keep. Until our next conversation then, take care.